Next group, Shaldaran ji, can you make any comment?
No longer teacher, no longer parents at this time, so let us pass to somebody else.
Your grandchildren. Yeah.
Okay, from our perspective from Balsanskar, it is difficult. We're facing the same situation where parents drop off. There is a core group of parents that help, and obviously they're the ones that host the Balsanskars at their houses. The thing that, the one thing that I did request my parents is to have a discussion with their child about what was taught. Because to have a discussion about what was taught during the class. Because when you repeat it, or when you teach it to someone else, as you all know, it gets firmed up in the mind. But if that's not done, if the dialogue is not done between the parent and child, then, and that the atmosphere is not such that it's spiritually grounded, then I've seen that it doesn't really last very long. Then those are the people that are your turnover, that pick up some stuff. But I don't get disappointed or dissuaded, because these are seeds and you're just an instrument, so sooner or later they'll get something out of this. It's never wasted. The other thing that I do is I send an email out to the parents with what was covered, and I also ask the kids as homework to talk about that at home. But that's basically our experience.
Okay, at my program at Schuster United in New York, I think one of our greater strengths is that we do have the parents stay around on the same day that the students have their class. While a lot of the parents do just drop their kids and go home, we notice that some parents do want to stay, or they just leave because they think there's nothing there for them to do. So we started a parent discussion group where any parents that do want to stay can, and it's not necessarily every week, it's whenever the parents want to move. It's usually every week. And the parents come together in a group, and then we have one of the pundits from the Monday or some like senior teacher or something that sits in the group, and they could just do like Q&A with whoever the priest is, or they can discuss certain issues among themselves. Like one week, they were talking about like how to do a Hindu wedding, things like that. Because some of them, their children are getting older, so they're starting to think, how do you organize this? Some of them had kids who got married already, so they started discussing that. So it's not necessarily any like philosophical discussions. So I guess one of our weaknesses, though, would be, I guess, the involvement of some parents with their kids' homework or doing things at home. A good number of parents, I think, actually do sit with their kids and practice with them, or work with them. But a lot of parents, I think, they don't see the need and what they're bringing their kids there to learn, because they did fine without it when they grew up. So basically they're only bringing their kids because maybe their parents told them. So children's grandparents are really the ones who are supporting it.
Alright, at Indigent Temple, of course, we have the same problem with many parents leaving their kids, but something that has been positive for us, for parent involvement, is one, that every Sunday after Vidya Mandir we have a lunch for all the kids and the teachers and the parents, and every week that is sponsored by different parents of the students. So all throughout the year, parents, it's like 4 to 5 families per week, so parents on those weeks are leading up to it, they have to come. They feel like they should come. They are sponsoring their lunch, they're feeding their students, their kids, and everything. And another is, a lot of our classes are taught by parents of some of the students who are attending Vidya Mandir. So because of that, some parents end up staying, and other parents end up staying who are their friends, family friends, and all of that. And lastly, because this need was becoming more and more needed, what we did was, at Indigent Temple, we started a Bhagavad session, Srimad Bhagavad session in the actual Mandir. We have our Vidya Mandir in the hall downstairs, in the cultural hall, but over the past year, we've been doing it for exactly a year now, and it has been extremely successful, where during the same time as our Vidya Mandir is 10 to 12, and at about, our prayers end at 10:30, which everyone is involved in, parents and kids included, 10:30 to about 12, up in the mandir with the Panditji who does the session, that he talks about a different topic from the Bhagavad every week. So that has attracted so many parents there, and they like to stay back and just listen to the Bhagavad, just sit in the mandir. And with the way our Vidya Mandir is set up is if your child is 6 years or under, a parent has to be with them during the session. So after they attend the language classes, during the religion class time, those parents, they have like an hour left, so they're like, oh, we don't need to leave anymore, we'll just go up to the Bhagavad. And I saw that this Bhagavad has been extremely successful and has a lot of positive feedback, so that has helped sustain a lot of our parents at Vidya Mandir this year.
Samirji, you're a teacher also, Samir?
Dr. Raugal, can I just ask
Yeah.
Bhakti a question?
Yes.
We tried to implement the same thing, Bhakti, and I think, I don't know if it was a diverse population of parents that we had. We didn't have much success with that. I didn't know if we did not do consistently enough, or was
Are
there
you talking
an
about
initiative-
like a Bhagavad session or what?
Bhagavad session?
Okay. I mean, I guess it depends again on the population, but I think this is a way that if we were, this would be a good step for the Bhagavad network itself. What we can do is we can share our Bhagavad notes with each other. We can have our notes sent to you, and you can send them, and if we can combine it to create an even better Bhagavad session that we can implement in both Mandirs. And if that doesn't work, then I mean, I guess try a different thing. There's always room for change.
Was there a priest that was doing the Bhagavad section?
Actually, yes, the notes have been compiled by a few people who are dedicated towards this, and they work with some of the priests, and then the priests say. I mean, it's not always the priests. There are other people who are knowledgeable enough that they feel comfortable talking about this subject, and that varies according to the temple and who the person is. But it's all individual, and I feel like if this is something that we can work on together, maybe create a certain set of Bhagavad notes, because I know we have a very extensive list. Every week they email out the Bhagavad notes before, so the parents know what to look forward to when they come. And if for 1 week someone doesn't get an email, or parents start calling and like, where are the notes? Like, we want to come, and I'm not exaggerating on that at all. And 1 week, for 1 month, the person who sends the notes out went to India. He came back to just an inbox full of saying that what happened, like where are the notes, where are the sessions. So I mean, it grew with time. It wasn't overnight. It took us a year to get to where we are. But I mean, this is something I feel like we can collaborate on. This could be like an action point for Bhagavad Network for increasing parent involvement. Because I know that it's been successful for us, so we can probably work together with other groups and make it better.
Samir?
So, I don't think I have much more to add in terms of the problem. We all know the problem and we've identified it enough. We also don't have a terrible amount of success involving parents. One thing we've tried is we have a lot of unfinished architecture in terms of paint and stuff like that. So try and get them to do painting projects. Try and have the parents run plays instead of us. We have the parents, when we have program or whatever, monologues and skits for the kids, the parents come up with the costumes and the props. So involving the parent at the individual level for their own child, and then kind of very organically growing them into developing an interest in the program as a whole and the movement practically.
Ramiji?
Is the mic on?
Yeah.
I'm going to speak as somebody whose child is now 21 years old. And when Durga Temple started, from a point of view of, I think it is on, it says on. It says on, unless I got a hold of it. So my views, and I completely agree from a parent point of view, and these are parents who are highly, who are thinking parents, people who have been following their lives, who are actually leading in whatever sense of the term it might be. It was very much oriented in the car as I was taking him to school for his entire pretty much school period. And the discussions were to let the child ask questions. So rather, the Bhagavatam is a classic example. So when I go to people's homes and we do this, we don't start with a story, but I ask the kids to read the story themselves, whatever, one paragraph, one page, go around, and then for them to ask questions. It's not for the teacher to teach, because the child, no matter what age they are, have got strong points of view, especially living in an alien culture. They're going to a school where there's a different set of norms that are being practiced, and what is being taught to them flies in the face of reason as far as they're concerned, the children are concerned, in the school system. So when you allow the children themselves to start asking questions, you will quickly find that they will gravitate towards the ethical and the moral, and when they begin to see that, they see the story of the Bhagavatam as that which transcends time. So once they get that, they get conviction and they get on with it. Another observation that I want to make, and this is children in different age groups among the Hindu community have got different sets of needs and issues. From about age 12, in which you know for both boys and girls, things, there are physical changes that are occurring in the framework of their bodies. They've got questions, and when they have those kinds of questions, their inquiry into life is different than what religion itself pushes. So it works very well when you are in India, where the environment essentially becomes your teacher. But here, when you're separated from that kind of an environment, the ability for the male or the female child to go and seek information is not as obvious. So from age 12 to 15, there's another set of questions that arises where Bhagavatam doesn't necessarily work. Then you got to get into more of what we would call the Vedanta point, the Upanishad point. It is still a parable, it is still a story. And their ability to ask critical questions come in. So this is just my experience in doing this privately in the field of community.
Let's stick to how to involve parents in classes.
The parents, okay. Now what happens?
The subject of the
Okay, the parents have to be included in this sense. There are some parents who do not have the same baseline knowledge itself. So they also have to sit down in class. So you got to make it a welcoming environment where the parents sit at the same level as their children, because they're no different. And they have to go through the process of learning it themselves. Because they do not have the same baseline, when the kid asks questions, they either brush them off or they put them down saying, no, just do it, because that's the way it is to be done. And the child will walk away. So you got to treat parents not as parents, but treat them as children also. That is my answer. And I'm telling you that because it works.
That's right.
It works.
Prakashji?
Hari Om. Everything that has been said so far is so valid. Question comes up as to what the parents' role is in inculcating these values in the children. My observation has been, and I suggest to everyone, that the first lesson that every one of us have to have is the verse 21 from chapter 3, which says, Yadyat acharati shrestha tat tat eva itaro janaha sayat pramanam kurute lokaha tadanu vartate. That is the counseling part that one has to do for some parents. Some parents understand it right away. So that is the aspect as a group we need to focus on and make sure that the parents are at that level. They understand that whatever they do is what the children are going to follow, not what they say. So there has to be, walk the talk and talk the walk. That type of atmosphere that has got to be created. Secondly, how do we make it interesting for the parents to make this program interesting? Because unless the learning is fun, nobody is interested in learning anything. And that aspect has got to be addressed also. And different ways that one can come up with the ways to address this. For example, when I make it fun for the child to learn, if I get up in the morning and I start wandering around without brushing my teeth or anything else, my child is going to follow the same thing. If I get up in the morning with rubbing my hands and say, Karagare Vasate Lakshmi, my child is watching me. Then I touch the ground and say, Samudra Vasane Regi Parvatasthana Mandala, and explain the meaning of that. The child is going to follow that. So, how do the parents come to that level of understanding and following it through is what we need to learn. And that's what needs to be taught also to parents. Some of the parents, it's a counseling part, as I say.
JG, what is your experience?
My daughter itself, my daughter graduated from Chinmay Bal Vihar, and she is a performing artist right now. Dr. Julie Rao knows her very well. She used to go at that time to Dr. Naidu's house also. Thank you.
Educating is definitely part of it. What we have found that the people who are interested in learning, they linger around. They want to know more. Either they have interest in their kids, academics, or whatever being taught to them. Some people have other commitments. Very hard to really poke into everybody's personal life, what is going on with their lives when they are dropping off the kid. So the general tone is more conciliatory. Yes, exactly. So more consideration is given that, we hope that the parent wants to really stay here, but most of the time they are not. We try to poke them to do more volunteer work. We ask them to take on more responsibilities. As I believe Lekaji told that some sort of preaching thing upstairs did not really work with our set of parents. They either didn't like it or they preferred to really socially chat downstairs, which was also disrupting to the classes which were going on. So we need to push them out. So that was also not nice. In any case, the role of family, which we think is basically what was the purpose you brought your child here for, to really enhance that. So if you wanted to just get rid of your child for 2 hours, is it really serving that? Or you wanted your child to learn something in the meanwhile you wanted to learn? So actually I believe this is rather than Bal Vihars or Bal Vikas or whatever, basically question to the parent, it is parents their own question to themselves. What am I doing here? And definitely I believe Bal Vihars really need to think from their own perspective what role they want the parents to take on in their bigger structure. If there is no role for them, then they can drop off and go from there so that they are not bothering with your teaching methods. You need volunteering that needs to be specifically defined, not hodgepodge. Thank you.
Your experience.
Yeah, I think we all universally agree on the goal. I think we all are struggling with the means. The goal, I think, is to have participation. I can share, I think this is something we have struggled a lot with children. I think we would love to get inputs on how to solve this problem. We are a family program where we strongly expect the parents to attend. We have a structured program for adults, which is we have educated acharyas who give pravachans, including Swamiji, and it's a wonderful speech, a wonderful set of discourses. But still, it is difficult to get everybody involved. My personal observation on this is, I think there is no one answer that fits all. Even in Chinmaya itself, it is fairly universal. There is no one answer. We have Maryland and Virginia, and it's very different between the two. Maryland is much more mature thing where people have gone to have been associated, something like maybe your group, for instance, where people have been associated with the mission for maybe 7, 8, 10 years. They've been listening to Swamiji for maybe 10 years. They're familiar with it and they like it. And Virginia, there are people who are very new to it, maybe similar to your program, who are not really interested in listening to Vedanta. And they're really come in and I want to drop my child and go to gospel. And so, it's a growing pain. And so I really think it's a challenge. And so we have to probably evolve even as a Chinmaya itself without a one-size-fits cannot really come in, we cannot say that in Chinmaya itself, it's even more difficult to say one size fit all for, a Bala Vihar program across organizations. I'm sure Balagopal is different from X and Y and Z, demographics, age, so.
The Yankee opinion, which in Maryland is more mature than Virginia.
No, I'm sorry, I did not mean it that way. I meant just from a perspective
You were
of
talking about the population attending there, not
That's what I meant.
That lady that came, can you introduce yourself please and also give your perspective on how to involve parents in the Balvikar?
Hi, my name is Sudita Kasturi. I'm affiliated with Chinmaya Mission here. I have two children, one who's almost 12 and one who's almost 6. They have both been in the Bala Vihar program right from the very beginning. And as far as the parents go, from a personal perspective, there can be nothing better than I can do is to have both my children in the classes while I attend the Acharya discourse. And but I do know that there are a lot of parents who don't feel like that. For them, like Sri said, it's a drop-off. How many errands can I run in an hour and a half without getting my kids in and out of car seats? There. So that is the perspective a lot of people take.
How can you get them involved?
I think Seva is one of them. We do not want to, in Chinmaya Mission, I know, like Sri said, we have struggled with that. Do you offer Seva opportunities at that point of time where the lecture is going on? Because that's the main event, and pull people away from that. But there are people who are in the hallway conference instead of the lecture inside, but they are willing to serve something, do some kind of Seva activity. So that is one option. The other option that a new member suggested, which is I don't think even we have discussed it further, is to do like a study group option instead of the lectures. So that there are a couple of new members who have come up and said, if we could have a more discussion format, especially I think for second generation Indians, they feel that that would be more helpful to them than to be in the lecture format. But I think encouraging, we do have some Chinmaya Mission Kendras around the United States that make it mandatory for the parents to attend it. I believe you can make a body sit there, but you can't make them listen. So what is the purpose of them, us forcing them? Because this has to be a choice that a family makes. I do believe one other thing is that if the parents are not attending it, you can see the difference in the Bala Vihar kids with the parents who are more tied in, who are listening to the Acharya discourses versus those who are not. There is gradation, so to speak, in the kids. So I think for the kids' sake, if you look at it from that perspective, that's the best thing you can do.
I think Samir is going to enforce 2:30, that's only 15 more minutes. So if each one can restrict themselves to 2 minutes and no more, Srilekha. Just 2 minutes, if you can give your perspective.
I'll keep it shorter than that because I agree with a lot of other folks from Balagopal that I've been saying. But one thing that I have noticed as being part of Durga Temple Board and also being part of Durga Balagopal is as a community running away from the impression that only if they sit through a structured program, parents are involved. I think we just need to capture on parents' interest. Some parents are very much interested in getting involved culturally. Some parents are very much interested in getting involved in other means. So I think it's important to capture what some parents that have not been involved in Durga Balagopal at all are very much involved in helping me run religious programs upstairs. So I think instead of just kind of saying that I give up on the parents, but kind of capturing what their interests are. Like Neetan ji, if I ask her to do some dance program and help me out, she'll be like, no, but I will help them, and she has helped. She's one of our parents. The same thing that goes with Srinivas ji that is out there. So I think just capturing parents' interest might help us in getting them more involved. But I think the takeaway message that I have is probably keeping the structure might help versus just like coming up with 10 different solutions, kind of coming up with 4 concrete solutions and kind of working on the structure.
Yeah, yes. Just keep it short, pointed.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
Just for that.
You turn it on.
yeah, I think yeah. Yeah, being as a parent, actually, I don't have too much to say, but rather I will listen more experiences from others. Yeah, I have been involved in Durga Balgokram for 3 years now, and I have seen the huge positive changes on my son. And being like interacting with other kids, and being in the classroom, playing with the kids, there are so many ways they can learn. So, but for the parents, my opinion is they should be strongly involved. Basically, my opinion is it should be mandatory for the parents also, and they should involve in more towards the volunteer work to make the program go like smoothly and without lacking of the parents and all. So they should be more involved into that. So that way we can bring more parents into this. If we will not talk to the kids at home, they will not be interested. If we are not interested, they will not be interested either. So we are the first. We have to come up and involve in these programs more to bring them up. So.
I also don't have much to say because some of you already said that it's not that one solution will fit everybody. And I've been associated with this program for the last 6 years, and I have seen parents who were not doing anything earlier now are regularly helping. Some of the parents are now regularly helping out in the kitchen. I see them every week. So it's like some people are more interested in. So we have to find what their interests are. And as Srilekha said, and so we will always have some parents who will have, if they have to run events, they will go. I mean, we cannot really, we have to try to maximize, that should be our goal, that most of the parents, so if we fit their needs, I mean, we find something, some of them are interested in discourses and discussions. We can also use the parents, like to, I was just thinking about it, if we involve them in some projects kind of thing, like so they can, for the next session, if we come up with some project ideas and use them, their help while they are here in preparing us for those projects, I think they'll be more involved. Because unless a parent feels involved, they are not going to stick with it. You cannot force anybody to do something.
What is Mangalman?
For the past 12 years, we still have the same challenges where they drop off at home. But we have now got committees. We have at least 2 or 3 arts and crafts sessions per semester. And what we have the parents do is plan these arts and crafts sessions. 140 kids is quite a challenge to come up with the stuff. So they plan projects. The other part, some of them, they go to the study groups and they discuss Gita. We also have yoga sessions. We have guests who come in and teach yoga. But we have only about 50% of them involved in this. We still don't have the other 50% involved.
PhD.
I agree with Mrs. Srilekha that giving them a different option. If they don't get involved in one, they might get themselves involved in another thing, like cultural activity or participating in coordinating for the event or something like that. The other thing which I noticed Balvik are doing is they give the students a task. For example, they've taken one leadership every week, they take one leader, and the students have to prepare for that and drop it out during the next session when they come. So when the kids go and bug their parents, so slowly the parents have to sit with them and Google it out and teach them as to what to speak and what not to speak according to the kids' age and to the level of appropriate ages. In that way, slowly the parents can get involved in it, and slowly the process can kind of increase, and they'll start giving more contribution towards
Mighty?
I have 2 things to say. So I think I talked about the Balvikas program, how it is not so structured. It is actually open-ended, so we like to pick up a topic for the day and we talk about it. So it's actually kind of interests the parent also when we do that. So we get to hear and talk during the program, not to sit and watch somebody talk to us. They make the involved in the program, so that kind of helps us as parents also to be there, be involved, see what activity is there. So that's one side of getting parents involved. Other point that I feared what bad might come from. That they get to learn something about the bad. I think as a parent, I think we have to also set it up for the people outside the class, like each of the other areas in possible.
JJ, you want to say something about how parents should be involved?
Not a parent, so.
No, that's okay. How your parents are involved? What they complaining?
Oh. Okay. My dad is very much involved in Bal Vikas. I know that Dr. Rao mentioned the Bhagavad Gita play. My dad basically wrote the whole thing. He dedicated nights and days and had no sleep for basically 3 months. But it turned out very nice, and he actually keeps telling me how when he was young, he didn't learn any of this, and he, for example, why do you do Sandhyavandanam? You know, yeah, when you go through the thread ceremony, you have to do it, but the inculcating that aspect into your life comes basically.
Yeah, it's that particular mic.
Yeah, so the inculcation comes from persuasion of parents and them being involved and making that kid involved as well. And I agree that there's some parents who are like, oh, religion, I'm really interested in it, but my mom is more of the religion aspect of it, my dad is more of the cultural aspect of it, so both variants are very much important.
Parents involvement. To some extent, I'm confused. Parents involvement and attending the class is the first thing. Parent involvement and dropping and going to Costco is 2 different things. Okay, there can be parents who can be involved, but they can also drop and go to Costco. And there is other way around. So, what is the real expectation is a question. Like, are you guys expecting a, and then similarly, parents being in the class with the child and parents attending a class in the same facility is 2 different things too. So I think as a group, we need to define what is required for a class. Okay? And then the next point is, once when you define it, are you willing to say no to them? Like, you cannot bend over backwards to meet everybody's needs. If there is a parent who needs to be, you guys define a class, that parent has to sit in that class, and if they are not sitting, of course, there needs to be flexibility. Not every, there will be exceptions to it. Are you willing to say, call that parent and have a conversation and say, this continues, you are better off not coming to the class. I think that kind of, I see that as a professional approach is required. We cannot keep on, because you are not giving, that, and then also, many of the kids who are bringing are all motivated parents too. Many of those parents, there are a lot of Indian families. About 30% of the Indian family bring their children to class. There is still 70% out there who are not bringing to any classes. So you are dealing with 30% population which is motivated. From there, I think that's a positive side. They are already motivated. Define what is the requirement for the program and enforce it is my suggestion.
One thing we could do is we have events. For example, we can have a picnic during the summer. This will bring everybody closer together, the parents closer together. Then you will get involved. For example, again, another one would be for Deepavali. We can have, instead of just having the class, talk only about Deepavali and have some part of dinner. So these kind of activities should bring the parents very close to the teachers and the classes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I am teacher from Gokulam. We teach the younger ones, 2 to 5 years old. Usually I am very clear that in the beginning itself, like I need the parents in the class. So I structure my class in this way. Like every day, every time they come to class, like Sundays, I have something to parents. Like tomorrow I have a kite festival. So the parents are involved in making the kites and just flying them away. And then we are going to, excuse me, and then we are going to, I'm going to teach them why do we fly kites and when do we fly kites. During like Shankranti we do that. And last time in the class I had Rangoli, భీమాదేశ్వర Kachiyani, the Samudra Vasnedi, Parakastana Mandale, and then I related to that one with the Rangolis and I brought a lot of shawls and took my kids out and they had a lot of fun. I took the Rangolis and everything. And the same way, like for Deepavali I draw the crackers and involve the parents to make sure that children get their share of the for the crackers and everything. And they had like for
That's a
cycles
funny reminder actually. Seconds going on.
and for Pongal, we did Pongal in the class. I made all the parents to bring the rice and Jaggi to share all the things and then we made Pongal and we offered it to God and we shared the Pongal. So this kind of activities we have to make sure like we had to introduce this kind of activities and if we introduce when the children are interested, actually like I have 18 kids in my class and I usually get 15, in all the classes 15 of them are there. So I think it's not bad attendance because the children are very much interested to come to the class because they have always something fun to do. So even parents, they go and bug their parents like somebody mentioned before to make sure like they have everything that we want to go to the class. So they are automatically involved and they come to us and say, how can we help you? What can we do? Something like that and it makes the class very fun and even it promotes the interest both in the kids and the parents.
Everybody had a chance?
Pravinchi on the phone, would you like to comment? We are in the role of the family section of the agenda. I know you're on the phone.
Yes, actually I was not able to address properly, but I will just share a little bit of my experience from the family point of view.
Sure.
We have found in Bharatiya Vidyalaya, which is, as I mentioned, which is about 20 miles north of Philadelphia. What we have found here is that a number of parents are eager, they come forward and they volunteer. And a number of parents, they will just drop that child and they will go away. And over the last 7 years, I have seen the difference in the performance. Students whose parents are involved in the Vidyalaya as volunteers, or in the temple, or anything else at the same time, those students always outperform. The reason being that these students, number one, think that it's a very, very important place, and it is not something where my parent is leaving me as a daycare center. And secondly, when they go home, normally they tend to discuss what happened in Vidyalaya in the daytime. So that's just a brief input from my side.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Thank you. Is there anyone else on the phone? Like to add something?
Okay. I guess I'm glad I'm the last person. I've been teaching children for about 30 years and never had a problem with parent involvement. Always parents were involved in anything I have been teaching. Whether it was here, Zambia, Philippines, wherever, it doesn't matter. I have always had parent involvement. For a couple of reasons. One, parents are allowed to sit in our class. We don't prohibit them from coming because we want them to sit in the class. Only rule they have to follow is they cannot answer any question I ask. The dialogue is between me and children. And unless I say, any adults also can answer. Some of the parents are so anxious, particularly when they are new, they want to answer for the child. I don't allow that. But they can sit in the class. So we have not had any problem. The parent involvement is in two, three different ways. One is in the class. They can sit and there is no problem. Secondly, somehow after the class, even though it is not formally announced, I think my wife steals the show. She gives some goodies to all the kids. So all the parents are involved. They bring the goodies, they work with my wife, so all the parents are involved with that. So thirdly, most of the things we do are projects, as I said, and the kids have to do some more work at home, and parents have to be involved in it. Just like he said, they have to do something. They have to do something at home, and that doing, and Jayashree also said, she has to work with the child because next class the child has to present something, and the child cannot present unless the parent is involved. The most important place where we need parents' involvement is when we have major functions. For example, we have youth competitions coming up in July, and we have Ganesh Puja coming up in September. They are conducted here, and we are guests here, and we are grateful for Durga Temple to give the property. But we don't want to leave a bad name here, or next year let's not have Bal Vikas here. We make sure that the place is left better than what we see. And in that, I'm very fortunate. We never had to assign. So far in 30 years, I never said, you do this cleaning, you do this cleaning, nothing. Somehow all the parents get together and they clean up the place. They set the chairs. They fold the chairs away. Everything is done like clockwork with absolutely no problem. I have never had any problem. And occasionally, almost every month, we have a kind of a potluck in the Bal Vikas class. And my wife usually has a list there, and she is very sensitive. I cannot say who should bring what, but food is brought, and it's delivered, and everybody enjoys. And we have another tradition, every child's birthday is recognized. So almost every week, some child's birthday is there, so they bring a cake, they bring some goodies. So somehow the families are very involved in our activities. I never had any problem with dropping in Costco business. Some people do go to Costco, and I'm not against it. But overall, we had absolutely no problem with getting involved. All the parents are here. That is why they're here. I told them, I want you to stay all day. They volunteered in care. I don't know why people have a problem. And secondly, one of the reasons our strategy has been successful is what you all mentioned. Many parents themselves don't know anything about Hinduism. So they're happy to sit in the class and learn with the kids. And I'm happy to allow them as long as they don't answer for the child. So it works out all right. I think many parents picked up a lot of stuff in the class. That's fine with us. I don't know. I never had any problem. That's why I volunteered to facilitate this particular session. I'm a little bit still at a loss to know why there are so many groups that have problems with parents. We have absolutely no problems. Srivasan, do you agree? You are the other teacher. Yes. You both had no problem at all. No resistance, nothing. Over enthusiasm sometimes, which I control, and luckily I'm an old man. I'm like a father to the parents, so it doesn't matter. If they're too enthusiastic, I stop them and say, that's good enough. Now you don't answer for your child. So I have no problem at all.
But Dr. Rawalkar, do you feel like some of the factors are because of the volume? Because I think
exactly. Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. If I may say, I have a direct analogy. I've spoken on both sides too. I have a small class, exactly like Dr. Rao. This is not Chinmaya Mission. I teach classes on my own in my house. I also teach shlokas and Vedic chanting, and it's a very dedicated small group of people. And I have never had any problems. There's a very close-knit group of people. They will do anything for me. I've had this class for 5-6 years. These families, I just have to send an email and they will do anything for me. Whereas, in a bigger program like, Chinmaya is a good work. It's a large number of people, and there is larger turnaround, and the commitment level is much smaller. Even in Chinmaya, I can talk about Chinmaya for instance. If there are 200, 300 families, there are 50, 60 families who are extremely dedicated, maybe even 100. So when we say somebody is going to Costco, it's a very loose statement. It doesn't mean everybody is going to Costco at all. Please, somebody should not realize. In a regular day, our hall is full. We just expect that everybody should be there, and that expectation is probably the wrong expectation. We expect, that, if we have 100 families, 200 families attending, we expect 100 families, 200, 220 adults to be there, and, we only see 50 adults, 75 adults. Maybe there are, 30% of people are going away, and, maybe that's the wrong expectation, just from that perspective.
In fact, that may not be bad. Why do you want 200 adults hanging around?
It's all the vision, right? You set your vision high. And the goal is, would you like one child of yours to not attend the class? Would you like your child to go to Costco?
If your work is
done, if so, my teacher, if I was the adult teacher, if I am taking my adult class, I am Swamiji there. I would not want he's also my, the parent is my student. I don't want him to go to Costco. I want him to come and listen to Bhagavad Gita. Right? So from that perspective, it's a family program. So only from, as he rightly said, what is the expectation of the program? If you don't have an expectation, if it's a children's program, there is no issue. If it's a family program and it's expected that way, and that is a family program, then it's a different issue.
And I think the problem we start to see is how it trickles down into the student itself, right? So it is a family program, and yeah, at a larger scale, you're not going to see that. The question I put you, like a real quick poll, if you will, because Ranko brought up a really good point about parents sitting in the class. And again, this becomes anytime you have scale, you have some of these constraints. So we have, as Prasannaji spoke, for the 3 to 5 year old, we have the parents sitting in the class. In some of the other classrooms, we cannot afford to have, whether it's because of distraction reasons or just facilities and other constraints, we can't have parents. So yeah, it is two very different kind of models, if you will.
If I may add one more thing to that, I think the gentleman in the red there, I think you defined it beautifully in terms of what is the expectation. We do not have any issues in Team Immersion in finding teachers, finding savers to lead things and stuff like that. It's what Sri said, is we're talking about that 30% who's not, and I think maybe there's a side of us that says you could benefit so much from it if you would attend. So maybe there's that from our side that we want to do that. And the big thing that you said about the type of classroom, the older, we have the 10th, 11th, 12th graders in there. They don't want their parents in the classroom because the dialogue that they can have with the teacher at that point of time, and some of the questions that they bring up would not be, the parents would first say, why do you even ask that? What kind of question is that? That's the immediate, because that's kind of a lot of us grew up with that. So I think so it depends. And in our Balavihar and our Madhuram classes and all that, we do need the parents to be involved, because if nothing else, there's always the potty breaks that have to be helped out with. I mean, I'm not, I'm just saying, but there's a lot of help the parents need to do in the younger classes. The older ones prefer not to have the parents in there. So there's, I think, that gradation when you have a program that starts with 4-year-olds and goes up to 17-year-olds, there's a big shift in what it is. But when teachers send out emails and all that, there's never been, I don't think we've ever struggled with putting together a program or anything like that. So I think you defined it beautifully in terms of that. So.
I've got another comment, another suggestion actually.
Well, if we could make it quick, 5 minutes.
The quick suggestion is that many of the kids, as they grow older, they get into Boy Scouts and all of that kind of stuff. And in that, being a Boy Scout myself, there are badges that they can get, and one of them is religion. And when that occurs, the parents themselves are also involved. And you can actually teach them the fundamentals of Sanatana Dharma there, because that's essentially what they need in order to qualify for the badge. So that is one thing that you can do where the parents automatically come in. It's small groups, and they won't run away to Costco. They'll be there with them. The other one is, if people living near major cities, you've got a lot of great museums where you get the South Asian art, especially the Hindu art. So therefore, planning field trips for parents to go along, small groups, and then going through the process of taking 1 or 2, whatever the iconography might be, and just talk about that and have a discussion with whoever is there. And the parents will get involved in it too. And this is a great way in which you'll be educating everybody. It doesn't necessarily have to be in a place where it's a temple or a house. You can do fun things like that too, right? So that's 2 quick inputs.
So I think if I could run on time. All right, awesome. So quick segue into everything else. Interesting point that you raised up. The Boy Scouts. We're here in a great tie-in. If you want to learn more about that, you should ask the people at the Durga Temple about the Cub Scouts program. That's really great, and it's a very good way of integrating the American culture with our own culture and creating a nice whole individual. But I think we've done a really good job of identifying a lot of the issues and venting our own frustrations. A little later, I think we're going to try and do a small breakout session where some of us can get together and come up with concrete solutions to some of the problems we created, if that sounds good. But at this point, I think we're going to try and talk about it, and I hope Ramit is still on the line. But going to try and talk a little bit about how we can use technology because it's rapidly evolving and it's pretty powerful. So we want to talk about how we can use that to leverage and enhance our programs. And I suppose as an example of the technology, we're actually going to be having our first presenter in the session present remotely by a teleconference call. So there you go, session in practice. So let's take it away.
So yeah, Praveen, do we have your slide deck up here with the website slide first up? And you might, I'm not sure if you are seeing the streaming video, but that would be one way to.
Oh,
actually,
I'm sorry. Really quick, if people are leaving, before you leave, I know people signed in, but we want to get everyone's email so we can stay in touch with each other. I'm going to pass this around. Please put your email on it so we can all stay in touch, because otherwise, we're not going to move forward beyond today. So very quickly. And if you know people who left who didn't sign in, their email, please put it there as well.
I'm so sorry. Jo bolo conference se bolo. Doesn't matter what it is.
Okay, back to the session.
Okay. Thank you everyone for giving me a chance to talk about technology. Before I go ahead, do we have anyone else on that phone from Bharatiya Vidyalaya or other places who are going to be presenting on technology? Okay, I think that silence is a no. So there are three different ways in which we are going to use technology in Bharatiya Vidyalaya. We have got a couple of slides on each of these three different aspects. The very first aspect is a website of Bharatiya Vidyalaya. And right now the slide which is appearing on the screen, this is related to that website. What you see on the screen right now is the way we write a communication to the students and their parents. When a teacher has to contact the students in their health class, what they do is they send a regular email, just like we send an email to anybody else. The only additional thing that teacher needs to do is that they need to blind copy Bharatiya Vidyalaya. And in addition to that, in the subject line, a teacher needs to make use of a particular word which will make sure that that particular email will appear under a particular section on the website of Bharatiya Vidyalaya. So just to, I hope I was not confusing anyone on that. So there are two requirements. Objective is that the email which is intended for the students and parents, the objective is that email should be appearing on the Vidyalaya website in a particular section. And when we go to the second slide, that is the time to move to the second slide, that point can become a little more clear. So can we do that? Okay. This is how the typical website of Bharatiya Vidyalaya looks like. Let us assume that in the previous slide which we just now saw, let's assume that the teacher was basically trying to address that student to the religion students who are in Ganga class. And you can see on the chart there's an arrow where the arrow is to religion under that here Ganga class. What the teacher would have done is they would have live copy Bharatiya Vidyalaya and they would write in the subject religion Ganga. The moment they do that, whatever email is sent, that email will appear under the Ganga section of the website. So right now, on the picture you do not see, but if you can go to the Bharatiya Vidyalaya website, go to the ribbon, click on Ganga, and you will be able to see what all emails have been posted by the teacher. So this is a way of communication between the teacher and the class. The second way we are using this website is that we also use it for backward communication, and you can see on the slide which you see right now on the board. On the left side, there is an icon which says contact the teacher. Any parent or any child can go there and they can write a message back to the teacher, which will go to their inbox. So this was all about the Bharatiya Vidyalaya website. So the function which I explained is that it's a two-way communication between the teacher and the student, and between the student and the teacher. We also have a few links, if you see on both sides in the black boxes on the right and on the left, wherein we also put up presentations of interest to the students. So this was all about the website, and starting with this we can go to the second aspect. The second aspect is about the registration for Bharatiya Vidyalaya. But before I go there, are there any questions on this?
Looks like we're good, Pravinji.
I have a question.
Or there is a question that's just coming up.
I don't know if I missed it and you mentioned it, but do you have to, do parents or children or teachers have to register on the website to create an account? And are there different types of accounts, like student account, teacher account, parent account?
That's a very good question. Right now, we have kept the registration requirement as minimum. As far as students and parents are concerned, they do not have to register. So as a matter of fact, anybody in the world, anyone can go to Bharatiya Vidyalaya website and they can see what the teachers are communicating to the class. However, the other communication, whereby when a parent or a child wants to contact the teacher, what they need to do is, what we need to do is, we need to make sure that the teacher's email address has been already programmed on the website by us. So that's the only programming right. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Yes. So probably we can move on to registration. And that is the next step. Yes, absolutely. There are two slides again on registration. The first slide you can see on the screen right now. This just mentions that we allow the students and parents to register either by filling out an annual form or using an online registration form. How to create an online registration form that is not for students or parents, but because in this conference, I'm assuming everyone is fully interested because all of us are volunteers and we are kind of teacher roles. We can move to the next slide where the procedure is given. On this slide, it is mentioned out of our members that we have a technology expert in Bharatiya Vidyalaya who has done that. It looks like by reading these words that it's a pretty straightforward process. Go to the Google document, it creates this form, and then create the appropriate form. And the way the form appears for a student or parent is you can see the example on the bottom left. What is the advantage? The advantage is we have found that major advantages. Number one, the effort required by us to compile the script by taking that the manual form is taken out. The second advantage is that when we are doing the manual typing ourselves, there is an every chance that we will make a mistake, either in the child's name, which is not as serious, but many a times in the email addresses, which is very serious. That means whatever email we want to send will not work. So this is all about the registration form. The drawback is, it's not really asked me a few days back, the drawback is, we do not have a system for payment online. So once the registration form details are filled in on-site, we do have the accurate details and they are in an Excel form, so it looks very nice. But the drawback is that we need to follow up separately with the parents for the payment. And overall, I'm very happy in spite of this drawback. I think this was very, very good. So this was very much registration. Any questions on that? I take that as a no, and probably we can move on to the further part. This is the next slide. Absolutely. On this slide, there online option, and we found that many parents in use of this online option. It was very, very satisfying because I work in the marketing research industry. What we have found is that when somebody is contacting respondents, the respondents normally do not like to see the person opposite them. When we do the telephone survey, so hard copy is not a telephone survey, but in hard copy still, when the person is filling out in the presence of the volunteer, they will normally try not to write about more about their hotel experience. They try to raise their satisfaction, usually on the higher side. In online, people are usually more stressed. So that is one indirect advantage. The major advantage to us is now joining. The major advantage to us is that whatever people are filled out online, we can get it all ready-made in a sample Excel file, and probably we can move on to the next slide.
Before that, I think we have a question, if you can answer it.
Could anybody use this form, any of these organizations to use this form, this whole site?
Yeah, can somebody just repeat the question because I'm not able to hear very well here.
Okay.
Could you repeat the question?
Could anybody use this? Could any group use this form?
So the question was, could any group use this form, or is it specific to yours?
Interesting. Actually, right now, anybody in the world can go to this website, click on this link and fill that form. The only way why they will not be able to do it is because this link we have sent to all the parents by an email. And the second thing we have done is, in this form, we do not leave it anonymous. We have requested the parents that they should be mentioning the child's name and their name. In spite of that, we do get, I got, I think, 3 or 4 responses which were anonymously done, which is perfectly fine. The idea of the objective of the form is that we really want to find out what is going on good, where can we improve so that next year when we have the program, we can come up with a better program for people.
I mean, even other groups may be interested in using this form. Is it possible to customize?
I think you meant the template. Is it customizable, or was this like something you created and you can never change it?
We created it, our technology we created, and I did not do it myself. I'm assuming that it is absolutely customized. We need to put out the details, which is on the next slide. We can probably go to that one.
Actually, like if you want this kind of forms, it takes maybe half an hour or something to develop. Like we have it for our own Balgokulam also, like survey reports. Online registration, it depends, like based on whatever you have, like specific you have. I have did it, like I think for Balgokulam we are going to export this year, and survey we do it pretty much every year. So like we use Survey Monkey, like it's your choice, like the free 10 questions like freely is available on Survey Monkey, so you can put your questions there and you can just publish.
I'm looking more at standardization for the entire group rather than each one creating their own.
Okay, even that can be done. That can be done.
Pravinji, you can
Yes,
go.
thank you.
So we are on your survey slide now.
Good. Okay. So I think I'm done with my presentation, and the question was whether it is customized. Yeah, absolutely right now it's customized. And I assume that it's not actually difficult to make any changes. I believe that if we want to make any changes, we have to probably the customer is created, we have to log in again and make the changes, and that will work. But I am assuming it should be very, very straightforward, just like in the registration form. It should be possible to go to Google and anyone can create a form and send the links to the people who need to fill it out. So that's why I about the survey form. So essentially, what I mentioned is I mentioned about the website, I mentioned about the registration, and I mentioned about the survey. These are 3 different ways how we make use of technology in Bharatiya Vidyalaya.
please feel free to stay on, and we're going to transition into Bhakti.
Sure, I'll be here for a few more minutes. Thank you.
How much time do we have?
Half an hour maybe? Maybe.
That's okay, I don't need to finish.
Just hit the right arrow. Hit it again.
So technology section works great.
You shut it off.
Did not.
Up.
Oh, not yet.
No, not yet.
Chai?
Where are my slides?
Chai is getting there.
Yeah, this is setting a bad impression.
So, the technology piece should not be presented by me because I left out the slides. So bear with me 1 second.
Thank you.
I actually just don't like it.
Yes, I did. Yes.
Start talking.
All right, until the slides come up, I'll generally start on the topic. Is this working? Oh, is this the mic that I was on? Okay. It's really bad session for all the technology to go wrong in. All right. Okay. Well, in general, I'm going to bring up some slides and talk about overall what our Vidya Mandir does with technology, but the session is not just about what each temple does, but it's more on the focus of what we can do to implement more technology to make our lives easier. Like many times what happens is with the administration, with our Bal Vihars and everything, it is run by a group of people who is somewhat almost afraid of technology. And that's understandable because sometimes it's hard to learn, but once you get it, it makes everything easier. So whenever my slides come up, will be a couple of examples of what we can do to help technology make our lives a simpler place, whether it's especially in the Mandir and in our Bal Vihar programs. For us, in Vidya Mandir, just similarly to what was just presented, we do have a very good online option for registration, for notes, for sessions, and in terms of involvement, same thing happened. We had a parent who said that, hey, I want to get more involved. What can I do? And we said, what are your strengths? He said, I'm good with IT, so we put him on the website team of the Mandir. So then he started developing a program simply for our Vidya Mandir. Now what he did was, oh good, okay, there we go. This is in general our Vidya Mandir Hindu Jain Temple page. We have a whole Hindu Jain Temple website that spans over everything, but here, for example, this is a little bit outdated again, but it says our core concepts. So 1 year in our religion classes, the entire year, our theme was our core concepts of Dharma. So we had 10 sessions and 10 core concepts of Dharma. So we started off with, when you go to the Vidya Mandir page, this is what you see. You see what the theme of the year was. You see what the classes were about. An example here is, during the year beyond just classes, what we did was we had different students from Vidya Mandir, different levels, ages, classes, languages, everything combined. Like the youngest on here is about 3.5 years old, and the oldest on here is about 17 years old. So we had kids ranging from 3.5 to 17, and we said, what does Diwali mean to you? And then we had each kid either write responses or say it. And I just have an example open with Avinash Gopek. He's a 7-year-old student. He's actually one of my students. He said a little 2-line thing. Whenever you have the chance to go and see this website, you can see there's Titi Mehta. She wrote a whole 6-paragraph essay on what Diwali means to her. Not just what it means to her, what she knows about it. So this was written by these kids for everyone to see. So these kids were able to go on the websites themselves and say, look, this is what I contributed to the Vidya Mandir program, and this is just by the kids. It's just put on the website by the adults. This is actually a private thing, Boodle, that differs with everyone. What we do is when our Vidya Mandir starts, we have daily prayers that is done by the entire group, not just the students.
So the students come and sit in the lines up front, and then the parents have their own lines on the side, and we have a prayer book. And these are all the prayers that are done in the prayer book that are done together as a group, collectively with the teachers, parents, and students. And we have each of them separately on the website. I don't have an open example, but if you click on Shanti Mantra, it will have the whole Shanti Mantra in Devanagari script, in Sanskrit, translated and transliteration. A little bit of everything. So they can go in anytime, and I know some kids who do that at home. They were like, you know, everyone gets randomly inspired one day. So once a year, one kid will log on and be like, oh, I really want to read this shlok right now. And it's there for them. It's available. We have it in PDF format as if it's the actual book that we give to them, or we have it separated each one. And this year we started doing Gita shloks, so we have a whole Gita Sar section in there too. Selected Gita shloks that we find would be inspirational for the students. And on the left you'll see in my courses, we have daily prayers, we have gurus and Hinduism. Different gurus that we have studied that have made an impact in our dharma. And really quick, this has nothing to do with Vidya Mandir, but this is a suggestion I gave a lot of my parents and students. One really good way to incorporate technology in with kids is using the technology they use. How many kids now have iPods? If the kids don't, their parents do. They have iPhones. They have all this available to them. And on this stuff, sometimes we're not aware of it, but there are things available to us. For example, I typed in Gita on my iPod, just as a search, okay? Let me tell you, I've actually downloaded a lot of them just to test them out, and the one I circled, Bhagavad Gita in Sanskrit, that is an excellent app. I don't know how many people have used it. I know it's getting to be a little popular, but I send this out to my parents and say, listen, just download this. Just have this on your phone. What's the harm, right? And at our house, we do prayers every evening together as a family. We usually read the Gita. Okay, it's almost bad, but I started reading the Gita off my iPod. Like, I flip it open, and it's in Sanskrit, it's in Hindi, and it has a definition underneath it. And how cool is that for kids? To whip out their iPod and say, hey, I have the Gita, don't take the book out. And it's there. Like, you don't, it's so easy to get these kids involved, to get this technology into our sessions. And the Gita in audio, you can hear the shloka as you're saying it, as you're reading it. And, for example, Hindi, because I teach Hindi at Vidya Mandir, these are just a few of the examples, but I've been doing research because a lot of my students, my parents are like, what can we do over the summer when there are no classes? Because our classes finished last month. Like, how can we keep the kids involved? How can we keep ourselves involved? Other than reviewing the same notes that you did all year, all over again in the summer, I told them to download some of these apps. And a lot of these you can write in the apps. You can practice writing. You can practice reading. It has the sounds. And it's all available, and except for like the $9.99 one, which please don't get, except for that one, most of them are free for 99 cents. And if you look at the long-term benefits, I mean, what is that really, 99 cents? So what I'm trying to say here is there's a lot that can be done with technology easily. There's nothing to be scared of. It doesn't have to be complicated. And we just have to want to know how to take the first step. I suggest that if you know any kids who have any form of technology, download some apps for them. First thing, download the Bhagavad Gita app for your kid on their iPod. Like, every kid, we all say that every house should have a Bhagavad Gita. Let's change that. Every iPod should have Bhagavad Gita. Let's take it one step further. It's so easy. And this is, again, the first step. Now, let me give you an example of what we've been doing today. We've been live streaming this whole conference. So all day long, people have been going on and off to see what we're doing here, to view the whole screen, to listen to us. And along with that, at Inchai, we're very known for this. We notoriously tweet the whole time, every time we have an event. I don't know if everyone knows what Twitter is, but it's literally just random shout-outs. And you get 140 characters to say what you want, however you want it. And every time we have an event, nonstop, we keep tweeting stuff from people. If someone said something really inspirational, we'll give it out as a tweet. If an agenda point came out that's like, oh, this is what we should do, we put it out as a tweet. All day long, it's on our website right now. We have been tweeting pictures, we have been tweeting quotes, we have been tweeting important points from what everyone has said today. Now, it's not that hard. It's like he's doing that right now. It looks like we're on our phones and not paying attention, but I promise it's productive. All right? He's tweeting right now. That's what I've been doing on my laptop. I've been making sure the streaming's working, and I'm tweeting pictures. I'm tweeting things that we're doing. It's so easy. It's 140 characters to say one sentence, two sentences. Now that's something we can even incorporate into our Bal Vihars. This is an idea that I'm trying to bring back to my Bal Vihar. We haven't started it yet, but how cool would it be for a Bal Vihar to have a Twitter account? And every Sunday, from every class, let's say there's like 4 classes split up, each teacher can come and say, this is what was the most important thing that we learned in class today, and tweet it. So every week you have few things collectively as what a Bal Vihar has learned. And that is not difficult. Anyone can tweet. Trust me, anyone can tweet. It is not hard.
Kim Kardashian tweets. Anyone can tweet.
He just learned how to tweet. I can't even, he can do it, anyone can do it, all right? So that's a really simple resolution we can take back with us. Create a Twitter account, because all of the websites, you can embed a Twitter account onto the website, like we've done with the Chai. Create a Twitter account for your Bal Vihar. And every week, have every teacher from like a major class say that, oh, this is something a student said today that made a difference. Or this is a topic we covered in our class that made a difference. Send out 4 to 5 tweets every Sunday after Bal Vihar is over. And see what a difference it makes, right? And within a year, you'll have about 100 different things that you've learned in Bal Vihar which you would have forgotten about by the next week. So this is a good record for us to have as well. And I think with tweeting, I'm done with that topic. Overall, I think I pretty much covered in general what I wanted to. Are there any questions with technology before we finish this off?
You can go back to your site. Speaking of technology.
Oh no!
Can we tweet that?
Can we tweet that the table fell? No, I don't think so. Are you okay? Are you okay?
Okay, Bhakti, can we add to that, or it's just,
what?
Can we add to what you said, or?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to do questions first and then
Okay,
add, that's
okay.
fine. Anything.
So if you look at the slide, it looks like, I think your slide earlier, it's a,
Oh, before this?
yeah, it's a e-learning package software. You have some courses also there. On the left side, gurus, and there are some courses there. Now, earlier we were talking about how this group can leverage, each other's assets. Assets doesn't mean, doesn't be alone. Things like these can go as assets too. So, is this something that can be shared with other groups?
Definitely. I think that's one of the big reasons why we're having this conference, is because we have resources, physical and remote, that can be beneficial to every group. So, I mean, again, I'm not the one in full authority of this website or running this information, but the reason I'm here representing my Bal Vihar is because if that's an idea that other people are also interested in, I can take it back to my administration and say, hey, there are 2 groups out there who want to share some of these resources and some of the programs we have. What can we do about that? And if you build a relationship, we can put links, like look at what program that these people are doing, look at the course that these people are having. And that's the big advantage to technology. Disadvantage is, yes, it can get out of control, but if you know how to work it right, there's so much you can do with it in terms of creating relationships and making connections.
I just want to add a little bit to what you said. We do have our own website as well, where we post everything that we have. We have a PDF with shlokas that we do every morning together as a group. Our curriculum is also listed there. We also post pictures of our field trips, our events, cultural programs, and everything that the kids have participated. So the parents can go in and see. What we do have besides that is also a page where we write these random quotes our kids give, just so that we share with the parents what's going on in the class. We don't have parents in the class because we found them very aggressive. So, but we want to share what the kids say in class. For example, when talking about values and karmas, one kid just raises his hand and says, so are dinosaurs now extinct because they all had bad karma? So these are the things that we put in a page saying gems, and we share this with the parents. so I just wanted to add that that's one way of.
I think that's a good idea, and that's something where I feel like Twitter can also come in very handy. You're like, look at what the kids said today, and
Can I say one thing? So we did this stream today, and it's a straight stream, meaning it's, oh geez, I'm on the stream now, meaning it's not interactive. People can just view it. But originally the intent was that people could actually interact and participate virtually in the conversation. We had to scratch that because they were like random people. When we did our test, there were like random people in Europe participating, which was kind of weird. But you can, there are a lot of tools now, for instance, Google Hangout, right? You make a Google page, a Google Plus page for your Baldia, all right? And you add friends, your parents or your Facebook, right? I say Google Hangout because you can do a Hangout, right? So you do a Hangout with your friends who have Google Plus accounts and they have to be students. Now let's say they can't make it that day, right? Or something. Someone's sick or they're traveling, but they love coming to Baldia and they don't want to fall behind. They can sit there and log on virtually if we provide them the resources. Now, here's the other really cool benefit of Google Plus. You do a Hangout, you can broadcast it such that, and you can make this private for only the students, but you can broadcast it such that it'll automatically print to a YouTube page and save there. So even if a kid cannot attend class one day, he can log on to YouTube later, provided you've made a YouTube account, and he can watch that class and what happened, so he doesn't fall behind. So there's a lot of really, really cool stuff nowadays that we can use to make sure that continuity isn't lost and keep our students up to date, things like that. So there's room for a lot of growth with a lot of this technology stuff.
I just wanted to add one thing. One way we've used ours also is to have a repository of documents for our teachers, because we have a structured curriculum of what is done, and it alternates. But so many teachers have so many beautiful resources that they have built up over the years, and especially for new teachers coming in, they have absolute freedom to customize it, but to have a baseline that they can start off with, including programs of what they covered in a week, like a curriculum program for that. That was one we've used very much. I know Chime Mission has, and a lot of our acharyas have YouTube accounts and stuff like that. And it's really interesting when you see the young kids tapping into that. We have that Gita on our iPad. We've downloaded a lot of stuff like that. Some are not that good, and then you just delete them. But you look through them, and it is interesting to see when your kids hit that and they choose to go to stuff like that when they have so many other options that they could be using. The Google Hangout we have not used for our Balavihar classes, but we have created Google groups or Yahoo groups that are moderated by the teacher and the parents. All the parents are typically a part of it, and it's moderated by the teachers, so that the kids, especially as they get older, and our kids are so much more savvy with technology than I feel even I am at this age. They are way ahead. And they've discussed field trips, they've discussed their end of the year programs, they've discussed save-up projects that they would like to do, time that you may not be able to devote in the class that can be done off class time to do that. And one other thing we did is, which you have that repository of the shlokas and bhajans, we also put the chanting with it. So for kids, they can click on it and they can listen to it, because there's a younger child or whatever. So that's just an addition that we have done with not only our daily prayers, but prayers that are being taught in our shloka classes and all of that. We have the MP3 files or whatever for them to do. But it's amazing now how you can disseminate information and bring people together using simple tools that are there, available for free. And that is the beautiful part of it, is they're free.
I think that's a really good point, because I want to add to that to say that all these things are possible, but the number one thing with technology is that it requires patience. It does not happen overnight. get such little time, we have so much information, but there's still so much left to do. But the fact is, it takes time, but if it's done properly, the results are absolutely wonderful. And it's something that it's worth putting the effort into. And with the same thing, we're trying to get all of our notes on here, we're trying to get audio on here, and it's going to make such a big difference. But you just need to have someone who's dedicated to doing just that. And like I know you just mentioned that, oh, you don't like to tweet. That's okay. Dedicate one person in the entire Bal Vihar, just one person. Give them the information. Let them do the task. Everyone doesn't have to put their foot in and try to make it better.
Now exiting.
So it makes a difference. But with technology, patience is very needed, and it's very important. That's where you want to get some of the older youth in Bal Vihar involved. Because these kids can do with technology what you can't even think about it. Like for them, using iPods and computers is so second nature that they can probably use them better than write a whole paragraph with their hand. So get these older kids involved, get them into doing this, because this is what they're so used to. This is what they do, waking up in the morning, before going to sleep. The last thing they do is check their Facebook. First thing they do is check their Facebook. All day long, they check their Facebook. Get them involved on Facebook. Like put them on Facebook for the Mandir. If they're already on there, might as well do something about it. Create a Bal Vihar page for your Mandir and let them put the notes on there. You just have to moderate. You don't have to do everything. They can actually do this better. No offense, but it's true. So there's a lot of potential here, and we just have to know who and where to start. So, are there any other questions or comments?
I guess one comment I just wanted to make was, we talk about technology. At the end of the day, it's really about accessibility, and it's accessibility to the kid, and the more the probability and the chances of the influence that we are looking for, it's going to go higher the more accessibility these kids have to the content that we want them to be exposed to. And so that's really, technology is one sort of way to get there, right? And a great way to get there.
Actually, I want to think, how can we introduce this technology in teaching itself? For example, like I do teach my kids, and after that, I make sure every after teaching a lesson or a topic, say like Karagre was a lecture. After teaching it, I would like to show them on the projector, like by just there are so many videos on the YouTube you can find. So it actually shows them like Lakshmi and the Karagre, Saraswati, and everything. Even whatever stories you take, like the Panchtantra stories and everything. After teaching them, once they see it on the screen, they become very enthusiastic and they are very happy to see that. It just they can persist that kind of things even for a long time actually. So it becomes easy for teaching the hard Sanskrit shlokas to them.
Right, and like that, our religion classes are smaller groups for younger kids, ages 8 and below. What we do is their religion classes consist of watching Panchatantra stories, watching cartoons, old Indian stories, watching not the TV series Ramayana and Mahabharata, that's a little intense, but cartoon versions, little episodes of what happened. So with them, they're watching it on a screen, something that they're so comfortable with, so they don't realize that they're learning. They're just sitting there and watching TV, but it's all going somewhere. And with kids, it's very possible. Same thing with shlokas and everything. We have a word of thought of the day every beginning of our Sundays, before beginning of Vidya Mandir. Many times we put up a presentation with the thought of the day. Many times we put up a video or something to go with a child who's talking about the prayer that we're doing. So there is lots of ways of getting around to it. And if that's the thing is we're here. If you need any help saying that, how can I set this up? That's what we're here. Talk to people who have maybe tried this in their programs and see if they can help you set it up in yours.
I have a quick question on, I think Chinmay Mission also talked about this early. I'm curious, how long are your assemblies? Duration? Or any other?
We start 9:50, we start with Hanuman Chalisa, and that is usually when people are filing in. And we start sharp at 10 o'clock, and at 10:23 or 10:25 we start dispersing. Now because of the large number of students we have, our kids, like you guys, they sit in the rows assigned for the class, and we disperse by rows to the classroom. And that includes our announcements, any special presentations for festivals or anything like that, so that the Bal Vihar in class time is sharp 10:30 to 11:30.
It's roughly
20 to 30 minutes.
20 odd minutes with 10 minutes where the Hanuman Chalisa is going on, where people, it gives them the opportunity to come in and for the kids to find their seats and settle in. So recommended arrival time is 9:50.
Same thing with us. Ours is 20 minutes in the beginning. We start off with Om chanting and then it starts smiling.
Ours is about half an hour. We start off with Ganesh Stotra. We start with actually Om chanting, Ganesh Stotra, we do about 12, 13 shlokas. And then we have bhajans and tunes. And then we have 1 hour class.
Yeah, just really quick, like hour sessions, because the kids, I don't know, even if you tell them 10 o'clock, some come in 10:15, some can, depending on what other activities they have. What I found that worked for our group was I always brought in the craft, because the craft is not necessarily necessary for the child to do. Okay. It's not necessarily, that's not the most important focus of the class. So I usually open up the craft and they start working on the craft. And while they're working on the craft, there's usually chanting or something, or music, or if there's some topic I kind of want to talk about, then they start listening to that while they're doing it. But within about like 10, 15 minutes, everybody's finally there, and that's when we do the prayers. Because otherwise, I started the prayers, and then people meander in, and I feel bad because it's like the prayer sets the pace, the tone, the mental availability to take in what you're trying to say. So,
With ours, what we do is also we sit in rows,
okay,
and then the parents in the back. And whoever comes in late, they have to sit in the back.
Okay.
And we 1.5 hour shlokas, and then we slowly build to the tune and bhajans.
Okay.
So that is their focus gets there.
Yeah.
And then whoever comes in late, they kind of at least are there for the tune.
Yeah, that's
before we go to the class for 1 hour.
Okay. So as we wrap up this session, any last one comment or question about technology in Balvihars?
I have one. Does anybody think, I don't know if the biology or surveys in Ikaruta?
Yes.
And registration also, of course.
You missed a great session.
How everybody can do money?
Seems like it's offline. Most everybody is doing that, right?
What was the question?
Credit card payments are generally, most programs are too, small.
Nobody's
For our website registration, you don't need to put your card information.
That's all. So we are in common for that. So that's all.
No, like I guess we're trying to say with Google Pay or PayPal, or do you have that integrated directly into your registration process?
We do for our summer camp. We take all payments. We take credit card just because chasing people afterwards for their payment was a big challenge. I believe from this year we will be introducing that. It has been an option last year, but the 3% whatever the merchant fee is had to be covered by the member. But I believe it's on the table, and we'll be rolling out our registration within the next 15 to 30 days. That I think it's on the table to absorb that cost. Again, to reduce that manual labor of chasing the people for the check, and just make it easier, because when you complete the registration and finish it off, then it's not pending on my to-do list also.
So I think we're going to take like 10, 15 minute break time. So yeah, we can be back in like 15 minutes.
What time is it right now?
It's really good.
It's 3:20, so we're actually only 5 minutes behind, so we played catch up. I think we talked pretty fast. So
you can bring your chai.
I mean, we can go chai here. For anyone who's actually interested, I'm going to give a plug. That's actually, so we have t-shirts that we designed, and that's one of our t-shirts. So that's like one of our t-shirts. We have they're all puns. They're all funny little puns. But if you want to grab a chai t-shirt, let us know. So.
Do you have it here?
I don't think we have any. We didn't bring any, but
we can mail
we can get you. Anyway, I think the chai's ready, so we can reconvene in like. We can reconvene in like 15 minutes.